Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where it's here. The day has arrived, where we are getting started with Apollo 11. So we're going to hop into the VAB. We already did an upgrade on our Saturn V, and it's far less janky. The top of it is still kind of janky, but it flies really, really well, and I like it. So we're going to load up our Apollo 11, and we can see this is starting to get pretty expensive, but it is still technically slightly profitable for us. Slightly. So this is great, and this is definitely still janky up here, no doubt about that. But we're going to be bringing this thing out to the moon. And this first stage is way more powerful now, no doubt about that. So that is absolutely wonderful, and I don't love what we've got going on up here, but I want to make sure that we have everything good to go science-wise for what we have unlocked right now. We're going to be unlocking a lot more science for the future lunar missions, and that'll be fine. We need to keep in mind we're only going to have 2 locations to store science here. We might actually want to think about changing this around ever so slightly here, specifically mounting the rechargeable battery packs instead, like internally in here or something like that. And then moving the photovoltaic panels to be like here or so. I think that's a reasonable spot to put them. We don't need a lot of power flow, right? So something like that should do the trick. Then the idea would be that we move the Science Junior, we move the thermometer, we move the mystery goo containment unit, and we move the barometer up here. The reason being we want to carry this back with us so that all of this data can be grabbed within these experiment storage modules. Rather than us only having 2 locations to keep them, now we have 3. It does mean we're going to be carrying more weight with this stage as we go back up, but that should, I think, be fine. I'm pretty sure. Okay, save this, please. And I do want to double check the staging. We know that staging was an issue, so we're going to start down here, and this is all fine. And then up here would be our second stage. There we go. And then our crew module. Yes, that looks good. Now, this engine is what? Okay, that's that engine? Sure. This up here is all just generally awkward. I'm going to grab the fairing, and we're going to take that right up here. Then we're going to pull the drogue chutes out, and then the radial mount parachute. And we're going to put them up here for now. Okay. So then we have that decoupler, and that engine fires, and then that decoupler. Okay, that's mildly strange. It would end up being something kind of like this, right? We'll call it good, but it's probably going to require some rejiggering because this isn't exactly a straightforward setup. So we're going to launch this thing. We'll put it out on the pad. And we should have Jeb, Bill, Bob here. We're going to be taking Jeb and Bob down to the surface. Bob for purposes of redoing the experiments. And Bill we're going to leave in the command module, because somebody's got to man the command module, right? And Bill is an engineer here. We could technically bring a pilot in that spot, because it's the position is command module pilot, right? We could technically do that. But we're not going to do that for now in case we need to move any parts around. So for now, this will do. We're going to throttle on, or rather throttle up, SAS on, and off we go. We know from our previous tests that this thing is actually quite a powerful first stage now. Like a very powerful first stage. And that is also both stable and maneuverable, which is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. So we're going to start getting ourselves a little bit, and yeah, it does like to pick up a bit of a roll. We're going to get ourselves a little bit of horizontal speed here. It really doesn't have to be much. And we're going to push our apoapsis up. We want almost entirely horizontal, or rather almost entirely vertical speed at this point. Horizontal speed here would be bad. So we've got a good amount of time left in this burn. I don't want to have this stage here. Let's keep the stage where it is, thanks. There we go, and we'll push our way right on up. For now, we can align to the prograde node. That's okay. And eventually we'll shift over into orbital mode. In fact, we should be doing that I think we'll do that at like 30-kilometer apoapsis. It felt way too low to do it at 20 before. But that said, we went pretty hard on the turn before. So let's just bring this on over. We're at about 30 right now. This definitely does like to pick up a roll as we head on over, but it is rather controllable. So that's good. We're at about 50-kilometer apoapsis now. So that seems quite solid, really. We're going to bring this on over. And we're targeting like a 100, 150, somewhere in there. So we're just going to be parked at the horizon here. Okay. So something kind of like this. It really does want to roll. But that is a manageable situation. Okay. So we have quite a lot of upwards momentum, as we can see from our heating effects there. No doubt about that. But we're just going to continue to push sideways here, and we're losing horizontal, or rather losing vertical speed, which is expected. Just adjusting our heading here a little bit. Okay. So we've got about 8 seconds left on this burn. We're basically at orbital speeds right now. And we're going to take this up to 150. There we go. So cutting throttle now. We've still got 3 seconds of burn left in this thing. I kind of want to save that for our circularization. It's going to be kind of weird, but we're going to do that. So yeah, this is definitely going to require utilization of our second stage, which is fine. That's exactly what it's for. So this looks good. We're going to start heading on over towards the maneuver node here. And we just have a tiny little reaction wheel. It's very, very difficult to do while we are still in the atmosphere here. We're trying to steer against the, steering against the atmosphere. We'll get there soon, though. We should ditch our fairing now. We are high enough for that. And we'll be in space soon enough here. So that'll be fine. We're going to have much better control over this thing once we're in space. I'm trying to head us over right now. We're just not moving. We are currently just counteracting the atmospheric drag. However, atmospheric drag is now gone, and there we go. We're starting to turn. Phenomenal. We are, of course, going to have to fix this roll. So we'll get that rolled on over to about here or so. There we go. Magnificent. How are we doing on power? We should be absolutely fine. This will all recharge the moment we relight these engines, which, to be clear, I do not believe that it was possible to relight the F1 engines on the Saturn V. But in KSP, there's no limitation on that. At least not in base KSP. There probably are mods for it, if I had to guess. But we're playing only lightly modded KSP here. So let's get into position for this burn. It's going to be a little bit of a turn. We'll turn a lot faster once we're no longer turning the entire mass of this insane rocket. So let's get a little bit of vertical turn going here as well. And as soon as we're in position, we'll start our warp. Or as soon as we're close to in position. Good enough. Okay, so we're going to hop over to prograde here. And we're going to warp a little further than the game wants us to warp, for sure. So we're going to keep on warping here. 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and there we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Little bit of bending going on over here, but that's fine. Fully expected. Okay, we're going to go into stability assist here. And there we go. I don't know if that's suborbital or not. It might be. At any rate, we can clean it up if necessary. No problem. So off we go. This is good enough. And we're, of course, going to be heading out to the moon. I just want to double check all of our science equipment and make sure that that's all good to go. Yep, that looks absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever there. Fantastic. How are we doing on electric charge? Yeah, as expected. So that looks good. Next up, where's the moon? Moon is here, so we're going to be burning somewhere around Apoapsis, actually, would be about right. There we go, and we know that we want to enter into like a 115-kilometer orbit or so with our command module, and so that's exactly what we're going to look to do. Inclination is going to be pretty off, actually. We should do an inclination change fix then. So what do we got? 1.6 degrees? Okay, yeah. So we're going to set the moon as our target. We need to fix our inclination here before we go. That's absolutely fine. We had a mild issue with our takeoff, wobbling all over, but it's fine. So we're going to add a maneuver here, and we're going to need to bring this guy down over to about here. So that'll fix our inclination. No problem. That burn will be in about 19 minutes. And let's just head on over. Yeah, we've got this small inline reaction wheel here. We've got a Probodobodyne Octo, which has a reaction wheel. And we've got a reaction wheel in this Mark 1-3 command pod. All three of them together are still kind of slow to move this. I'm not shocked. There's a lot of fuel in this thing, to be clear. We've got 5,000 meters per second of delta V. Kind of insane. Okay, we've missed slightly here. Let's just get into position. There we go. Phenomenal. So here in about 4 minutes, we're going to commence this burn. Now in about 1 minute. Okay, overshot. That's fine. So we'll just get this set up. A minor overshoot like that isn't the end of the world, but I definitely overwarped a little bit there. Okay. How are we doing? 0.1? That's probably okay, but I'm going to fix it ever so slightly here. Oh, other direction. We overshot? I guess we overshot instead of undershooting. For some reason, I thought we undershot it, but nope. So this would definitely do the trick. So I'm going to go into physics warp here. And we are going to rotate on over and get that last little bit fixed. Cool. So that'll be in about 58 seconds. This time we're not going to overshoot it. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0. Very, very, very minor burn here. I'm not throttling it up much. How's that? 0.0. That'll do. So now we're going to look to burn somewhere around here. The timing is a little different now. And what do we have for an encounter here? Oh, that's looking so much better. I like it. So now we are going to bring this on in to about 1:15. Okay, we're going to have to change the actual timing on it. Sure. That's fine. Cool. Somewhere around there. So, again, 1:15, but I want it to not be coming in retrograde like that. I want to be coming in this direction. And about a little overshooty there. There. That'll do. Cool. So when we launch, we're of course going to be launching out to the east and be going this way, which is the correct direction to go. We want to be going counterclockwise, right? We are currently going... I just want to double check this. We are currently going... Yeah. So counterclockwise is correct. Perfect. From this view. From this view. So that'll do. We're going to line up for that burn. And over we go. Cool. And let's warp on over. So this is, of course, going to be a relatively hefty burn. It's also going to be pretty much a pure prograde burn. Just attempting to get us lined up a little bit more. There we go. 40 seconds. 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, and mark. So off we go. We can definitely physics warp this burn a bit. It's a bit of a long one, no doubt about that, and we've got a lot of delta V left in this stage. Again, as per our previous flight, we're going to be ditching this stage once we achieve orbit of the moon. Just adjusting our heading a little bit here. And that does, of course, mean that this is a little overbuilt, but that's fine. About 1 minute left in this burn overall. The physics warp does build up a bit of a rock going on here, which is awkward, but it's fine. Not a huge deal. Probably could turn off the gimbaling here to fix that. But 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and we'll call that good. Okay. We were chasing the node a bit there, but that is 11 kilometers. Okay, let's flip around to retrograde and let's get this fixed. We do not want to be at 11 kilometers. Cool. Now that's 12. Whatever. We're going to push that up to around 115, as we previously stated. I guess 120. Sure, that'll do. That's absolutely fine. Then we're, of course, going to do a braking burn here and circularize that. Phenomenal. So with that circularized, and in reality they used an elliptical orbit, but we're not going to do that. We're going to circularize this. They initially entered into an elliptical orbit, and then through successive burns, they dropped it down to a circularized. That's what it was. So that's absolutely fine. No concerns there. We're just going to go directly into a circularized ourselves, and that seems okay. So over we go to the node here. And we'll just get into position for that. There we go. And off we... Hang on. This dramatically changed on us. Now it's at 177. Okay. It's going the correct direction. We still have an encounter here. What happens if we burn a little retrograde here? Okay. That moves us away. So I'm going to flip us over to prograde. We're going to try to dial this in. It's not going to be hugely efficient at this point in our orbit. But this is something that KSP does sometimes, and we'll just have to go with it. So we're going to bring this down to about 115. That actually was really, really close. Then we're going to recreate this and hope that it doesn't move on us again when we warp. Hopefully. Let's do a bit of a warp here and see. Nope, looks like we're good. Okay. So using physics warp here to turn. Let's get into position again. Okay, we were overshooting that, so I froze the physics, and now we're going to head on over. Because, of course, entering time warp freezes the physics. Okay, close enough. Yeah, this looks absolutely fine. So here we come, moon. Magnificent. Unfortunately, that issue does put us behind a little bit on the episode timetable. I was planning on having the landing done this episode. We may still have time for that. We'll see. But I wasn't intending to have an inclination change burn, and I wasn't intending to have to do the correction and repositioning a couple of times there from the warp bug. So that's fine, but it does put us a little behind schedule. But let's get into position here. There we go. Burn will be in about 30 seconds. 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, so we do know that we are going to have like half of our fuel from this tank left. We've got lots and lots of fuel from it, but we are going to be jettisoning this fuel and leaving it here and operating based on this fuel that we have up this way. We have enough to actually not have an engine in this stage at all, which is mildly insane, but that's fine. So let's just get this on circularized. Right about... It's going to be a little bit here. Overshot it a little bit, but that's fine. This is going to be good enough. Beautiful. So we are going this direction. Sounds good. I just want to double check here. Yep, that is the correct directionality. Phenomenal. Okay, so now, of course, we need to start our actual landing procedures. So we're going to have Jeb transfer on over. So we're going to transfer crew of Jeb. There we go. And we're going to transfer Bob as well. So transfer crew Bob Kerman over to the lander, the Lunar excursion module. There we go. Cool. So that'll be absolutely fine. And from here, we're going to just separate. So we're going to undock. And Bill, you're going to stay in orbit. Have fun. We are, of course, going to follow Jeb and Bob here. And they need to flip around to retrograde. Are we controlling from here? Yes, we are. Cool. We are going to be blasting the other rocket a bit here. I'm going to use RCS to get us a little bit of distance. There we go. We don't need to use too much RCS for that. Just get a little space, and that'll be absolutely fine. So where are we looking to land? Well, I want to land dayside. Perhaps somewhere around like this crater over here. So if we were to warp to about here, we could certainly do something like adding a maneuver around here to bring this right on down and get a landing inside of this crater as our first landing site. So it would end up being something like this. I'm deliberately angling it towards the edge of this crater because it will rotate underneath us, right? So we're going to warp forward here, and we can see that's drifting into the crater, which is expected. Okay, so we're going to need to activate this engine, which I'm going to do actually with the spacebar. I'm going to quick save first in case the staging is somehow messed up, but I don't think it is. It was! Okay, so why did that happen? That definitely shouldn't have happened. This engine was not activated. The stage was not this. So we can revert back here, and I'm completely okay with this. Not revert. We need to load that quick save that we just made just in case, which, boy, am I glad that we did. And I want to find out exactly what happened here. This engine should not be active at this point. Right? This stage should not have fired yet. Yeah, this is not active. So that's very interesting that it's doing stage 0. I guess it says we're on stage 1. Huh. I would not have expected it to behave like this because this stage has not yet been fired. That must be weirdness from the docking, is all I can imagine. So we're going to activate this engine, and we start our burn literally right now, which is great. We're going to do exactly that. And we can see that we are definitely near the edge of this crater. But we'll slow this right on down. I want to go into surface mode here. And let's extend our landing legs. We can always use a little bit of extra fuel to go this direction a bit, which is fine. Let's bring this right on down. We really probably should have dropped our altitude first, now that I think about it. But we could certainly reverse our directionality here and come back over this way a bit if we wanted to. Fuel will be maybe a little low, but I think it should be relatively fine. What is the DV here? 430? Okay. Yeah, that seems okay. Okay, I'm just going to continue burning here for the moment. I'm going to get rid of this maneuver. It doesn't matter anymore. And we're just going to flip this around ever so slightly, and then we're going to hop over to surface retrograde. How much fuel do we have left? 447? This is saying 431. I'm going to, I think, pull a little bit of fuel, maybe from the excursion module down. Maybe. The real concern here, of course, is that this runs out of fuel on the way down, right? I think we'll have enough. If we need to pull fuel, we can. So I'm going to have these pinned open for the time being. And actually, I'm not going to pull out of the Lunar excursion module for now. I'll pull out of this fuel tank. So we'll just have that open just so that that takes up less space. In fact, we could maybe pull it right now. That is not flowing at all. Okay. We need to do something like that, I think. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to pull this fuel down here for the time being. and it's very confused about this. I don't think these numbers are accurate. But we're going to pull this fuel down, and we're going to have maximum fuel here. We'll move it back up before we leave, is the way that this is going to work. Okay, so we know that this is going to be at about 6 minutes, so we can warp forward to somewhere like here, 5 minutes in the future. There we go. In space near, we can certainly grab these on the way down. So we'll collect both of those right up here. And we can grab another material study on the way up if we really wanted to and store it up here. That would be fine. In fact, we could do that literally right now. We have a minute. So we're going to EVA here. I'm going to let go. We're going to hop on over this direction, and we're going to restore and conduct a material study. This feels so slow. We're going to grab that. We're going to collect. We're going to restore again, and we're going to come back over here. I might as well restore this mystery goo containment unit and grab on and climb in. Beautiful. So we can now see we've got about 40 seconds here. Looks fine. We're going to physics warp a bit so that we can still see the countdown. 30 seconds, 20, and 10 seconds. Okay. So there we go. We're going to commence our burn here shortly. I see that we're coming down like on the edge of this crater. Not necessarily ideal, but we're going to burn now. I want to be pointed surface retrograde. And there we go. So this seems fine. We can see our countdown going up here and our burn length going down. We'll see how much of this fuel we burn off, and we'll think about budgeting for further flights. For the time being, I want to go... Hang on. I want to go this way a little bit. Okay, so we're just doing that to get ourselves a little bit of horizontal speed, just so that we're not going to land directly on the crater here. And that all looks good. Yeah, we can see our landing site now, right here. Looks nice and clear. So we can see that our countdown here is definitely going up. I'm going to coast us down a little bit here. 11, 10 seconds now. Checking our radar altitude. Okay. Commencing the burn a little early here, just because I always get a little nervous. Cool. So we got that nice and slowed down. And commencing the burn again. Okay, we overshot it a little bit, that's for sure. I want to be in surface retrograde here, and I want to be just gently slowing down at this moment. We have a little bit of rocking back and forth going on, that's for sure. We've got 500 meters per second left in this thing. That's plenty. Cool. So down we go here. Decelerating a little more than I want to be, but there we go. Going into stability assist. Throttling down ever so slightly, and now back up. And beautiful touchdown. Hopefully we don't tip over. Nope, we're good. Phenomenal. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Next episode, we're going to do our moon science, and we are going to head straight on back. That is absolutely great, and we like it. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time. That staging was very surprising to me, though. It's fine. At least I anticipated a potential problem there.